Well, I guess I should just come right out and admit it. I've been bankrupted more times than I can count. Money just seems to slip through my hands. One day I'm up, the next day I'm down. I owned Park Place and Boardwalk with hotels and all the railroads, and I still went bust. How could that happen? Well, let's see. Of course, I was talking about monopoly bankruptcy. I've never been bankrupt in real life, but I guess there's still time left. Now, unless you're an immigrant from Mars or Venus, you probably played Monopoly, or at least heard about it. The game we know today has been around since 1936, but its progenitor was a game called the Landlord's Game. The game was really a social statement decrying the evil of those who gobble up real estate to milk the poor folks who had to live there. Well, the person making that social statement was Elizabeth Magie, who got a patent for the game in 1904. It was Magie's aim to promote the idea of Georgism. And for those of you who are not up to date on the Gilded Age, Henry George was a political economist who in the late 1800s espoused the belief that people should own the value they produce themselves, and that the economic value derived from land should belong equally to everybody. Well, George also argued that a single tax on land would create a more productive and just society. Well, back to Maggie and the Landlord's Game. She made so much money from the game that she began to buy up property to milk the tenants. I just made that part up to add a little flavor to the episode. She never really did that. Or maybe she did, I don't know. Wikipedia didn't go that far. She was pegged as a left-wing feminist by The Guardian. The game we know today as Monopoly was developed by a chap named Charles Darrow in 1932. The game company Parker Brothers bought the rights from Darrow, who designed the board in 1935. I noticed that Monopoly sure looks a lot like the Landlord's Game. Well, so did Parker Brothers. And they had to buy the Landlord's Game from Lizzie Magie, and they paid her $500. In 1936, Parker Brothers started licensing the game for sales outside of the United States. In 1941, the British Secret Service and John Waddington Limited, the UK distributor for the game, created a version of Monopoly for distribution to prisoners of war held by the Nazis. But unknown to the Nazi thugs, compasses and real money were hidden inside the game to help the POWs escape. Sneaky, those Brits. In 1991, Hasbro acquired Parker Brothers and thus Monopoly. And in 2003, the company held a national tournament on a chartered train going from Chicago to Atlantic City. The Monopoly board is based on the streets in Atlantic City. Now, you surely recall those pieces that you moved around the board with. My favorite was the race car. Monopoly became a worldwide sensation. It was even featured in the great Milos Forman film, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Here are some interesting facts about Monopoly. The longest game of Monopoly lasted for 70 days, but the longest game in a bathtub lasted for only 99 hours owing to excessive wrinkling. The Monopoly guy is named Rich Uncle Pennybags. He was based on a guy named Otto Kahn. Over 275 million games have been sold worldwide, and over 6 billion of the little houses have been manufactured, but only 2.25 billion hotels. The most expensive Monopoly set was created by Sidney Mabel. It had a 23-karat board and diamond-studded dice, and it cost over $2 million. Back in the 60s, on balmy summer days, my brothers Sonny and Frank and I played Monopoly on the porch of 2810 Kirby Avenue in Chattanooga. My brother Frank was the most competitive, and whenever he lost, he threw a fit I wish I had recorded on film. I miss those days.